Hello guys, welcome back to a new video. This one is a little bit different than what I usually do on my channel, but I'm so excited about it because you guys always ask for more journaling videos and we're doing a journaling video. This video is all about the journal prompts, activities, tools, things I use when I want to start fresh. I feel like me and particularly my friend Cam comes to mind. We literally always make fun of ourselves because every single week we decide we're in a new era and we're like, I really feel like it's new, and it's kind of like a joke at this point, but I do think there is something so beautiful about, I don't know, acknowledging chapters ending, new ones beginning, and kind of knowing that we can start new at any point. These prompts are really for you to do whenever you feel like you need to start fresh, whether you're feeling funky and want to step into something new, whether you feel like you want to start new habits or get clarity. The thing about journal prompts is they're often so simple, but it's actually crazy how often we don't think to ask ourselves these questions. So I want this video to sit on this channel for you to revisit whenever you need to start fresh, whether that is now or you want to do it in a week or a month or at the beginning of the year. So let's just dive straight into it. So the first journal prompt I always love to start with, and is my go-to to do all the time, is what are you letting go of and what are you calling in? Or what do you want less of? What do you want more of? You can kind of use whatever words, but it's really just what is no longer serving you and what do you want more of? I started doing this journal prompt when I started moon journaling, which I've mentioned in my past journaling videos, but pretty much with every full moon you write what you want to let go of, and with every new moon you write what you want. And when I started doing this, it was just crazy because I didn't really go into it being like, oh, the moon is gonna make this all happen. But after doing it, it just fucking worked. I was just manifesting the craziest things that I wrote down that I didn't think I could. And it was just so beautiful to see. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned from that is the fact that sometimes to get what we want, we actually have to let go of other things. So the first question really is, what are you letting go of? I love to use the categories of relationships, career, health, mind. I feel like this helps you break it down because sometimes you're like, fuck, what do I want to let go of? And it just feels like such a broad question. But then when you kind of go into these little more categories of okay, what do I want to let go of in my relationships? Is it a toxic friendship? Is it a belief that I'm not lovable? And then break it down into what am I letting go of with my health? Now, before we step into what we desire, I do also think that as well as letting go of things to make room for new, gratitude is just such a important practice in our daily life, but also just in journaling. You guys would know all about gratitude journaling. It can be as simple as just writing a list of what you're grateful for, but I think anytime you go into manifesting, into writing what you desire and trying to call things into your life, it's really beautiful and important to try to come from a place of abundance and gratitude rather than lack. Because if you're manifesting from a place of lack, of feeling just you want all of these things without being grateful for all of the amazing blessings and things you already have, you can end up kind of attracting the wrong things and maybe calling things in that you weren't clear on. It's like all the genie stories where you have 3 wishes and often you kind of ask for the wrong thing because you're not really coming from a grounded place. You want this idea of it rather than a feeling. Going and writing down all the things you're so grateful for and already have in your life, and then after that kind of calling in things on top of all of the things you already have, makes it so much funner and more grounded. Now we're kind of into the manifesting, using the prompt, what do I desire or what do I want more of? I feel like from a really young age I always really clicked with the notion of manifestation. I really felt like I just constantly was seeing things happen in my life where I would write it down or I would daydream about it and then it would kind of come into fruition. And I guess some people could just see that as a coincidence or whatever, but I really do feel like I have seen how much these practices and writing things down can help make things happen. And I always really struggle with the word manifestation because I think it got really like trendy for a while. And so I just want to say, whether you're spiritual or not, it doesn't really matter. There is literally science behind, if you write something down, it is so much more likely to happen. You don't even have to see the science to kind of understand that when you have that clarity in yourself of what you want, if you can write it down and get that clarity and see it on paper, obviously your brain is going to go into every day or different moments with that clarity, so you're so much more likely to like jump on certain opportunities or see something to make that happen. So yeah, that's my little spiel. The next thing I'm going to talk about, I've actually been talking about a lot recently on my channel just because I have just gotten so into it, and that is vision boards. So this isn't journaling, this is kind of an extra little practice you can do after you've kind of written down all the things you want to manifest. I think it's really fun and beautiful and effective to create a vision board. I personally have been loving using Pinterest for this. I feel like my Pinterest algorithm is it just gives me all of the photos that I want to see. So I've talked about the fact that I always create a vision board at the beginning of the year for like my whole year vision board, but I've actually also recently started doing a vision board for every month. These ones I do a lot more relaxed. I don't even like create a collage out of it. I just have the board on my Pinterest. And ever since I've started doing this, I just can't stop because also it's so fun and it's such a nice way to like get clear on what you want and see it visually and get excited for the future. But also it's crazy because I'll finish the month and I'll look back at my previous month's vision board and so much of the stuff just like happened. I've talked about this in other vlogs and videos, so I'm not going to go into a whole rant again, but I really recommend you guys try this and see if it works for you. The tips I would give with creating a vision board is definitely go after the feeling you want rather than how you want it to look. Obviously you're like taking visuals, so this is also a time for you to kind of like visualize it and see it and all of that. But I think for me, the photos that I end up choosing on my vision board are so much more symbolic than fact. So it could be a photo of like a leaf, and to someone else that's just a photo of a leaf, but to me that is about being in nature. You can just have fun with it and it's more about how it feels to you. But I think in general with manifestation, I think it's so important to focus on how you want to feel rather than how it is or how it looks. Whether it be getting that job, how do you want to feel working in that job? How do you want to feel in that relationship? How do you want to feel when you're on that vacation? If you guys have any crazy stories from doing these kind of like manifestation journal prompts or vision boards, please leave them down below, because I think when you talk to people that do it, it's just like, oh my god, this shit just works. It's crazy. Okay, now we're moving into taking action. I feel like it's so easy to get into the setting intentions, the creating the vision boards, but not actually implementing anything to create this change. There's a quote from Atomic Habits, the book written by James Clear, that always sticks with me, and I want to share it with you guys. When scientists analyze people who appear to have tremendous self-control, it turns out those individuals aren't all that different from those who are struggling. Instead, disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control. I think that quote is such a great way to summarize pretty much just setting yourself up for success. I have experienced this, and so many people experience this, where you kind of get stuck with wanting something but then just not really like helping yourself out so that you can actually get it. And so the next journal prompt that I find really useful is, what habits do I want to create or change? For me, for instance, something that comes to mind is not waking up and going straight on my phone. I struggle with this so much, and now even thinking about it and after journaling about it, a simple thing that I could do to set myself up to actually change this habit is not charging my phone right next to my bed. So when I wake up, I'm so much less tempted to check my phone straight away because it's across the room and I would have to get out of bed to do so. So it's like little things like that of like okay, you have this habit, how can you set yourself up to like actually be able to maintain this habit? So after you write kind of a list of all of the habits you want to change or create in your life, the next thing you should do is write kind of how you can help yourself succeed in each one of them. It can be such little changes like putting your iPhone charger on the other side of the room or something more drastic. Another quote I really love from Carl Jung is, "You are what you do, not what you'll say you'll do." So for instance, something this year was like I really wanted to get myself to educate myself more. I'm not currently studying and I'm working for myself, and I find it's very easy to just get very comfortable in doing the things that are just already familiar and easy for me. So this year I really wanted to do that, and I feel like reflecting back on the last 6 months or 7 months, we're so far into the year, it's crazy, but I don't feel like I read as much books as I wanted or listened to as much podcasts or did as much courses as I want, which is okay. We are going to start anew from now. And so I'm really excited to share that this video is actually sponsored by Skillshare. I have known of Skillshare for so long and always wanted to try it and just never have. So I'm so happy that I finally actually have been. So going back to the journal prompt of habits I want to change, I really want to implement time throughout my week that is dedicated to educating myself. So I decided that Saturday mornings 10 to 11, I give myself an hour purely to focus on educating myself. So I've started actually doing different Skillshare learning paths and classes. At the moment, I'm doing writing for self-discovery. For those of you who haven't heard of Skillshare, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. They have thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, design, illustration, productivity, and now even creative careers and AI innovation. So if this is something that interests you, the first 500 people to click the link in my description will actually get a month free of Skillshare. So I will leave it down below, and thank you Skillshare again for sponsoring this video. Another journal prompt I just love doing when I'm feeling like I want to manifest, start new, is really imagining and detailing how I want my day-to-day to look like. So the journaling exercise that I like to use is pretty much writing down my day, my perfect day in the life. And I think why this is super helpful is because I think when we think about the future and what we want, we can think about winning that award and getting that and think about all the highlights of life. But the highlights of life are like a 5% of our actual life. So when we manifest, we actually want to manifest like, what does our day-to-day look like? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Not just how you feel when you get that award. With this exercise, it can be really fun to like light a candle, put on some music, close your eyes, and just really visualize what that day is. Really just imagine your ideal day. What does it look like? How do you feel? Who are you with? What are you eating? What are you wearing? Get into as much detail as possible, and then you can kind of write it down. You can be like, 7:30, I wake up, energized, excited. Maybe your partner is in the bed with you. Maybe you're alone in your apartment. The light is streaming through the window. You can really just go crazy with this, but just detail it as much as possible. So much of the time we have this ideal version of who we want to be. Like, I want to be that person. I want to be that career girl that's killing it and has time to go for like dinners on the weekends with her besties who she loves. Everyone knows the quote, fake it till you make it. But I think sometimes it is making that switch and acting and doing the little things that the you that you dream to be does. The story that my friend told me about her mum that has really stuck with me is her mum was a model when she was younger. And she was going to all of these like castings and everything and getting no jobs. She had no money and she was like, I fucking need these jobs. So she used all the money she had left in her bank account to buy a really expensive outfit. And then she started going to these castings in this kind of like bougie fancy outfit. And then suddenly she started booking all the jobs. And it's that thing of like, she wanted to get herself to be this like really like successful working model, but it took her spending her money like an expensive model and investing in herself as her brand to actually be seen as that. I think it's such a simple story, but it really did stay with me because it sometimes is as simple as making those little changes. And so much of that comes from getting clear on this version of yourself that you want. Like, what does she wear? What does she do? How does she feel? And from that, you get clear on the actions you need to take to kind of step into those shoes and become that version of yourself. The thing I want to end you guys with is one of my favorite prompts, and that is, what nourishes you? This prompt came from The Artist's Way, which I've mentioned before. It's such an incredible book for any creatives or writers, and has heaps of exercises in it to do. The whole past prompt of like the person you want to be, how do you want to feel, how do you still nourish this person so that this version of you can like sustain this in their life. And this idea from The Artist's Way is that, you know, as creatives, we are putting out so much, doing so much, that we actually also need to remember to bring back to ourselves and really like give ourselves the things that nourish us. So the way I love to do this exercise is pretty much just mind mapping it and writing what nourishes me, and kind of just like writing all of the things that are coming to mind, whether it be going on a beach walk, watching sunrise, sunset, going and seeing a good film, going to an art gallery, having stimulating conversations with friends. It can really be anything, and different things nourish different people. And in different periods of our life, different things nourish us, which is why I think I love revisiting this prompt, because my answers often change. After you've finished your mind map, something that can be really helpful is looking back at your answers and kind of rating each answer out of 10 of how often you actually do this. So if you write that going on beach walks is something that really nourishes you, now next to it write maybe like 7 out of 10 because you do it quite frequently, or maybe if you don't do it much at all, you could write 1 out of 10. This can just be helpful to see like what are the things that you've actually been doing, or if you've been doing any at all, or if you've been really on top of it. But I think sometimes when I do this and then I look back at it, I'm like, oh, true, like I never really go to the movies anymore, and that's something that really nourishes me, and I want to bring that up to at least a 5 out of 10. Something that The Artist's Way says is to kind of book yourself an artist date. So an artist date is kind of doing these little things to nourish yourself. So maybe every week you can kind of set an intention to book an artist date, or every fortnight you can book an artist date. So this could be like a solo walk, or a dinner with someone you always know you have stimulating conversations with. Anything that you know will fill your well and kind of leave you feeling inspired and energized, so you can keep being this version of yourself that you want to be. I think it's really important to finish this video off by saying that change and growth is gradual. It is not linear. The amount of times I feel like I'm like killing it and I'm like got all my habits down, I'm like finally I'm in a good morning routine, and then it all goes out of whack and you feel like you have to start again, and that's really okay. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I share a lot more journal prompts on there sometimes. Here's to starting anew and taking action and just creating the lives and becoming the people we have the power to be.